I'm Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley. I'm here with City Commissioners Joseph, Mims, Shaw, and Fairchild, as well as City Manager Shelley Dickstein and Deputy City Manager Joe Parlett, and of course Chief Biehl and his great team as well. I'm going to give a statement, and Chief Biehl will give a statement. Appreciate to see some of our folks from CPC here as well. Glad that you're here today. It is unacceptable that African Americans must fear for their lives in everyday interactions. We have been working to address the systemic disparities that exist in Dayton, but we know we still have a ways to go. And we know that the onslaught of violence against Black people nationally weighs on this community as well. Those feelings are real and they are valid. It is my hope and the hope of my fellow commissioners that people in Dayton feel that their voices are heard as they express their feelings. Right now, we know many people are very angry, sad, scared, and frustrated. And we hope that the protests this weekend are a safe space for people to express this anger and to demand change. Our community has walked through hell over the last year. We all learned many lessons along the way, but one of the most clear is that we are stronger together. This community stuck together through experiences that would have torn many other communities apart. As people gather this weekend, please remember that violence distracts from the essential message that Black lives matter. Again, we know we have work still to do to make sure all members of our community feel safe and protected. But I am committed to doing this work, and I know my fellow commissioners are committed as well. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Biehl for some comments.
Thank you, Mayor. The death of George Floyd while in police custody, handcuffed, and subjected to the sustained application of a neck restraint that led to acute medical distress is a national tragedy. It has garnered much media attention and has prompted national protests regarding the actions of Minneapolis police officers involved. 4 officers involved were quickly dismissed from the Minneapolis Police Department, and today, the officer that applied the neck restraint has been arrested and charged with murder and manslaughter. Many individuals have engaged in actions to protest the callous treatment of Mr. Floyd and the heartless disregard of his pleas for help. Their experience of pain, sadness, and anger is understandable in response to the tragic and preventable loss, particularly at the hands of those who have a duty to protect life, all life. Many of us, although from our individual perspectives, understand this pain all too well. I know I do. The Dayton community has experienced many tragedies over the past 12 months. The racist rhetoric of a white supremacist group, the devastation of 16 tornadoes in the region, the mass shooting leading to the loss of 9 innocent lives, and the wounding and injuring of a dozen others, the fatal shooting of Dayton Police veteran detective George Del Rio, and now the terrible effects of the global pandemic. We have found a way to meet each of these tragedies with grace, grit, kindness, and compassion. I'm impressed by the way the Dayton community, our community, has found courage, perseverance, and strength to do so. Yet we are challenged again to not only attend to our own trials and losses, but also witness and in some way respond to the national tragedy of the death of George Floyd and other similar incidents, as well as the aftermath that has followed. How we will respond will make all the difference. We are aware there are individuals and groups that have expressed a desire to gather and to protest the actions of Minneapolis police officers in causing or not preventing the death of George Floyd. CUNY members have the constitutional right to do so, and members of the Dayton Police Department will protect this right. We expect our CUNY members will be lawful in doing so. We'll have sufficient police personnel available to monitor CUNY activities to ensure everyone's rights are honored. We look forward to a safe weekend for all community members.
Thank you, Chief. We just wanted to give these statements if there are any questions.
Has this sparked a conversation with your department? And if so, what kind of conversation, and what are you guys doing?
I've had multiple communications with members of command staff, had correspondence with them, alerting them that we need to be mindful that events that happen other places around the country affect our community also. And we need to be diligent in how we approach and provide service to our community and honor our values of professionalism, integrity, respect, and fairness in all interactions. We certainly will be re-emphasizing certain aspects of our tactics which do not include, in any fashion, neck restraints. So I want to make that clear. So there's various conversations going on. We have some updating of some memo on training, just to remember or remind people of proper tactics to be employed. So there's various things that are being done to not only bring attention to a national crisis. It's truly a national crisis that's happening right now. I have lived through something very similar. I understand what this is like in the real world. So they understand that this can also affect our community, and that we need to be very diligent in how we address and interact with our citizens, and also always do it in a professional way. So that's kind of the conversations that have been happening.
Do you see any, do you expect a larger than normal Saturday police presence, and what type of steps are you going to take to prevent the kinds of disruptive activities?
Well, I think I want to reemphasize that knowing the community, our community, like I do, it's certainly my expectation that it will overwhelmingly be law-abiding while engaging in any type of protest activity. So that's number one. We will have, and it would not have done in prior instances, we'll not do in this particular case, speak specifics of the amount of personnel we're going to have available, but we will have an augmentation of personnel that have specific training to respond to events of protest. So we have adequate personnel who have specific training related to potential activity they may encounter. So we will be ready.
When's the last time we had a violent protest?
Wow. You know, I'm having such a hard time putting together the last 2 years. I'd really have to dig up some records to find that out, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I mean, other than perhaps in response to certain celebratory athletic activities that come to mind, not too distantly, but yeah.
Any other questions?
The group that is meeting in front of the federal courthouse at Mayor Whaley, they had just mentioned they had talked to you, the Better Dayton Coalition had your full support as long as things remain peaceful. They didn't have a permit, they don't need one. Can you just confirm all of that?
Yes, certainly this morning, after the events that have been happening in Minneapolis and the event in Columbus and Louisville this past evening, I did call many community leaders just to check in to see how they were feeling, how are they doing, and then was informed about this event tomorrow. And so yes, you know, I know these leaders. They have been leaders that have been in the community and know how important it is to speak our voices, but also make sure that we're protecting our community at the same time, and they value that. And so I feel like they're going to do everything in their power to make that happen.
Are you encouraging people to stay away from the downtown area like you did May 25th, or what is your message to someone in the downtown area?
Well, as you know, if you've been watching the past 80 days, I've been encouraging everyone to stay home to save lives. So that will not be different tomorrow, more because I think it's just, especially if you are immune compromised or have someone in your family that's immune compromised, we're still among a pandemic. I recognize, though, that people are frustrated, angry, scared, and they need to exercise their First Amendment right. If that's what they need to do, I hope they'll wear a mask to protect themselves during COVID. I think that public health will be offering those. And I know that our community, I have very strong confidence in our community that they will continue to be respectful and safe through this.
Do you think that Columbus police were caught off guard by the activities on Thursday night? I think it kind of contributed to the level of disruption, and do you think like you're going to be ready for something happening?
Well, I talked to the mayor of Columbus just an hour ago. I don't think it's an issue of them not being prepared. I think it was a very long discussion. I think we have to also recognize that I think cities are paying heavier attention to this because more of the fact that people have been pent up for a while, frankly. And so we recognize that we still would like people to stay home to protect their grandmothers, but I think there's a lot of that going on across the communities as well.
Do you think our police and community relationships are different in Dayton?
Absolutely.
In some of the communities where we've seen that?
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't something that the chief or community police council and other people don't work on all the time. So I think that we are by nature just a very different community from our experiences and what we've gone through together. I think that makes us a different community as well. All right. Stay safe. Stay away from each other. Hope you have a great weekend.